Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week we talk about success and everything that goes along with it. You'll learn the principles of success, how to achieve success, and learn to overcome challenges that may be getting in the way of success in your life. You'll hear from Bill Napick, a radio personality and business development expert, along with insight from special guests. If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Napick is on right now.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick, and today with Mr. Chris Walker. This is where America comes to hear great people, hear about their success tips, some of the things that they do in their life that make a difference, that we share with you, and also we want to be entertaining. And today we've got a great guy, as I mentioned, Mr. Chris Walker. He is a gifted vocalist, musician, music producer, all-around great guy, Mr. Chris Walker. Thank you, Chris, and welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. I'm still stuck on Miles Davis and Human Nature.
Isn't that? I love how he plays that. I mean, on that particular album, it's just so great how he just took a great song and made it great again.
Yes, indeed.
Well, first of all, Chris, tell everybody about what you do musically. I say you're a gifted musician all around, but tell people exactly what you do and what your profession is.
Well, my profession, I'm a professional singer, musician. I've worked as a musical director for Jarreau for about 12 years. And before that, I was with Regina Belle as her musical director. And actually, that's how I got my start in the business, from singing a duet, A Whole New World with Regina Belle, and landed a solo record deal. So I'm involved with my church, play bass, guitar, piano, drums, and, try to do a little bit of everything.
And that's the beauty of music. When we get the music bug one way or another, I know everybody loves music. Not everybody gets to play or sing, but once it becomes part of your life as an entertainer, or as a musician or singer, it just stays with you and just becomes strong.
Absolutely. Without it, I have no idea what I would do. But I'll tell you a funny story. When I was 18, I graduated from the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts. I wanted to attend the New School for Jazz and Contemporary Music in New York. But of course, I didn't have the money, so they told me not to come. Well, I knew one gentleman named Justin Page. I bought a one-way ticket to New York. I had a bass amp, sold it for $240, landed in New York with $40. Went to the New School the very next day, which was already a month in progress. Walked in, I heard music coming out of the auditorium, so I poked my head in just to see what they were doing. They were playing some jazz tunes, so they invited me up to play because they didn't have a bass player. So I get up, and we're playing, I remember the song, Donald Lee, Charlie Parker song. And the dean of the school walked in, and the instructor of the program, and gave me a full scholarship to go to school.
Isn't that fascinating? It's funny how life, you have those opportunities, but we have to be prepared for them.
That's right. And, I'm a firm believer, walk by faith and not by sight. So that's what I believe. God led me there, and he gave me the tools that I needed to stay there.
Indeed, he did. In fact, I do want to tell people how I met you. You sang this past weekend at Second Baptist Church, and at both services, the 9:30 Sunday morning and the 6 o'clock Saturday, and I had the honor of being able to play with you. I played the Hammond B3.
Very well.
Well, I do my best, but I'm going to tell you, you had such an effect on the congregation and our pastor. It was so awesome to hear you sing and to see that effect that music has as it prepares a congregation for worship.
Yes. Well, it's certainly a blessing to have been invited, and hopefully I can go back in the future. I mean, it was just touching for me, and everybody just made me feel so at home,
And that's the nice thing about music. It also helps us, gives us an opportunity to meet new people as we do serve and sing wherever we do or play wherever we are. And you just came also back from a tour, if I recall, from Europe. You mentioned Jarreau, right?
That's correct. We did a 5-week run in Europe and played the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is one of the biggest festivals in the world, and just all over Europe. And we had a wonderful time.
And you were playing the bass on that, right?
Playing the bass and singing background.
And I do want to mention, you play left-handed bass like Paul McCartney, right?
That's
you play
right.
Left-handed.
That's right. My dad put it in my hand upside down.
and then you're still doing it that way.
Still doing it that way. I'm a little screwed up there. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, interesting. Now, I mentioned to people that you sang the song, His Eyes on the Sparrow.
Yes.
And let's hear a little bit of that song from this past weekend at Second Baptist Church. Check this out.
His eye is on the sparrow, watches me. I sing because I'm happy. Yes. I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know He watches me.
Wow.
I feel like singing it now.
Yeah, go on. But and the powerful message that brings forth too. His eye is on the sparrow, so you know that God watches us each and every day, each and every moment.
Absolutely. Our steps are ordered. I'm a firm believer that our steps are ordered every step of the way. No, actually, in meeting Dr. Young, I mean, that God orchestrated the steps for that to happen.
It's fascinating. Well, let's go back now. Talking about music, when did you first start singing? I mean, the voice that you have is just unreal.
Thank you. Well, I grew up, we had a family gospel group called the Walker Brothers, and started when I was probably 5 years old. My dad, stay in tune, and if you didn't, whoo, look out. So my youngest brother, Ernest, my oldest brother, Charles, and I, Charles played guitar, Ernest played drums, and I played bass. And we had a family gospel group, and that's where it all started.
That's interesting. And then how long did the group stay together?
Until I left Houston and traveled to New York. Actually, when I turned 18, I graduated from the high school for the performing and visual arts. And, I told you the story about the full scholarship. Mm-hmm. So that's how long the group lasted, actually.
Well, tell us, too, as far as singing, man, when did you realize singing was a gift for you?
I'll tell you a quick funny story. I was touring with Regina Bell, and we were opening for Mays and Frankie Beverly, and it had to be like a 16,000-seat arena. And she didn't come to sound check for some strange reason. So they said, well, Chris, could you check her microphone? And when I started singing on the mic and I heard it in there, I said, whoa, this is what I want to do. Certainly, this is definitely what I wanted to do.
Because if you play the bass and you play the piano and you start it with the drums, and then to sing, it's almost like, when did that become your focus to sing? Because you're also playing the bass, so I mean, you're able to do several things. Well,
when I first moved to New York, my focus was to land a record deal as a bass player, and then I had a conversation with Marcus Miller, a friend of mine, and he said, "Well, if you do a bass record first, they'll never accept you as a singer." He said, "If you want to sing," he said, "I would encourage you to do a vocal record first," and that's what I did. So I started while I was playing with Ornette Coleman. I was working on R&B songs in preparation for the day that I would one day get a record deal, and I did. And I had most of the first record already written when I got the deal.
Well, certainly it is obvious, but it has to be said to be successful, and as we've mentioned already, just at least 2 opportunities that have presented themselves to you in your life, you got to be ready for them.
Yes, this is true. And I used to practice the bass 6 hours a day. Because I said, when I get to New York, I want to be able to walk into a session and be, one of those
ready.
Session musicians that you can just put the music in front of me, I'm ready to go. And that's how I actually landed the gig with Al Jarreau. They flew me to L.A. I didn't have an opportunity to rehearse or look at the music. They put it on the stand, counted it off, and we played. And afterwards, he hired me on the spot.
So. That's awesome. Now, tell us about the piano.
The piano. Well, I started playing piano in high school just as a hobby. And I started a gospel group called Divine Spirit when I was in high school. And the piano player was always late, and it bugged me. So I said, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to do this. And I started playing just triads, C, E, G. That's with 3 fingers. That's how I started. And then, of course, I started watching keyboard players. Of course, back then they didn't have YouTube, so you just had to kind of figure it out, So I consider what I do noodling. I mean, I can sit down and accompany myself and play a song, but when I'm, sitting next to you, who's really accomplished, I just consider what I do noodling.
I don't know. I'd go that. I do my best, and I want to tell people also on that song that you heard with Chris, that was Jeremy Good on the piano, and Jeremy really did a nice job Saturday night. Mm-hmm. We are going to take a short break, and for the break song, we are going to hear one of Chris's songs. It is called "How Do You Heal a Broken Heart." We're going to take this to the break. Here we go.
Are you the girl I thought I knew? The one who promised me her love. Where did it go? Does anybody ever know? How do you heal a broken heart that feels like it will never be this much again? Oh no.
It's a fresh approach to caring for people with memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, or other dementia-related symptoms. It's Sundance Memory Care, the premier memory care community in Texas. Sundance Memory Care gives extra care with a 6-to-1 resident-to-care ratio. The goal is to lift up and support residents with a level of care that engages the resident and includes their family. Sundance Memory Care has regular contact with specialists and industry leaders with the most innovative memory care resources. Visit SundanceMemoryCare.com or call 281-769-2632 to learn more about them and schedule a tour with one of their directors. That's SundanceMemoryCare.com.
You're listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick. As a well-known speaker and business development expert, Bill will coach you to help bring your business to the next level. In addition to being your go-to source for expert advice on making your business more successful, be sure to call Bill, known as Houston's title guy, to help you close your real estate transaction. Bill's attention to detail and standards of excellence, coupled with Stewart Title's financial stability and strength, will ensure a great experience closing your real estate transaction. All title representatives are not the same. When you are making such an important investment as real estate, you want the best. You want Bill Napick working for you. Call him at 713-210-9767. That's 713-210-9767. Now, get ready for more motivation and inspiration. Successful Living with Bill Napick is coming back right now.
The hand is big and it is strong.
Makes it say it is a friend.
For in their world where giants walk,
Looking up is all that they can see.
from the eyes of the child, there's hope tomorrow.
Welcome back, everyone. Successful Living with Bill Napick, and here today with Mr. Chris Walker. You've been hearing Chris sing on both of those songs. The song that we just heard is The Eyes of the Child. Chris, first of all, before we went into break with the song, How Do You Heal a Broken Heart? Tell us a little bit about that song and what you were thinking when you were writing it and putting it together.
Well, actually, I wrote that song with a famous songwriter by the name of Carol Bear Sayer, and she's Burt Bacharach's ex-wife. And she heard my voice and heard my writing and agreed to write a song with me. So I go to her house in Beverly Hills, and I walk in, and she says, "Hi, I'm Carol." I said, "Hi, I'm Chris." And she said, "Well, do you play piano?" I said, "Well, I noodle a little bit." So she said, "Why don't you sit over there?" She had a beautiful 9-foot grand piano. And I started playing that intro, and we wrote a song in 3 hours once I started playing that intro. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's wild how things happen.
And she was just a sweetheart.
What a great adventure. All right, well, tell us about the second song we heard.
The second song, Eyes of the Child, I wrote that song with Ray Davis, and it's a song, the young lady that you heard, her name is Angie Beck, and we're putting that song together for a water initiative in Ethiopia to help build water wells and bring awareness to the problem there. So all the proceeds from that song, it actually hasn't been released yet. That's the first time it's actually been played.
Oh, wow. Well, it's an honor to have played a part in that.
Well, thank you very much. And so all the proceeds, like I said, will go to Ethiopia.
So then we want to make sure people know about that song. When will it be released? Do you have an idea?
In probably 2 months. 2 months. We're just doing all the preparation now. Actually, the Prince Ermias from Ethiopia will be here in December. So hopefully we'll get together and talk about our initiative that we're pushing forward.
And when the song's available, people will be able to get it on iTunes
Absolutely.
or anywhere else, so that way the funds can go to the proper place, right?
Absolutely.
We'll make sure that we mention it again in a few months, but that is a great cause. Now, how did something like that come about?
Angie Beck has been involved. She's a sweetheart, and she would be an interesting person to interview too, by the way. But she approached me and told me about the situation there, and I said, okay. And she said, well, why don't you write something for it? You know, come up with something, see if you can. And actually we created this song, and she played it for Prince Ermias, and he really liked it and said, I want to move forward with this song. So that's how it all began, actually.
Very nice. Boy, it's interesting how music plays such a role in our lives. And even the person, again, that is not a singer, not a performer, or musician, doesn't even play the piano, people love music. And I bet especially when you're in the vocal role, when you're singing in front of an audience or a congregation, you could see when it touches people, can't you?
You know, it's interesting because it's an out-of-body experience for me. I don't really focus on that so much, and I don't even notice it until after the fact, you know? So it's kind of sort of like when I'm connecting with God, I don't even notice people or what I'm singing or whatever the case may be. It's whatever pops in from a spiritual realm is where I go, you know, and I just let him lead me, and that's where I go.
And we hear it at our church all the time, how people are blessed to be a blessing. And this surely is an example, especially when the music, in a musical role, that we are blessed to be a blessing when we serve and prepare people and touch their hearts. Right. And it's also very exciting, too.
Right. Well, that's our job, actually, to prepare the congregation, I believe, to hear the word coming forth. And that's actually, you know, I serve as the music administrator also at Abundant Life Cathedral, Dr. Ed Montgomery, and we have awesome worship there as well. So it's just a blessing for me to be able to experience Second Baptist and Abundant Life Cathedral.
Not too far down the road either.
This is true.
Two Dr. Eds, right?
Dr. Ed. We're going to have to get the doctors together.
That sounds great. What are the service times at Abundant Life?
At Abundant Life, service starts at 10:30. We just have one service on Sundays, and that's at 10:30.
And you're the musical director there?
Correct.
And are you singing or playing the bass? Or
Actually, I do both. I do both, and I also write original songs, and sometimes I perform those as well.
10:30. Well, I'm going to have to swing over there after I'm done at Second Baptist.
Well, look here, come on and play.
That would be super awesome. Also, what advice would you give to someone, let's say, and you probably have it in your position, what would you tell people that are, say, a young person that wants to be a singer, and it must come up to you after a service or something, and say, Chris, hey, I sing too. Give me some advice. What would you tell, say, a singer or someone that's asking about a musical instrument? How would you encourage a young person?
Well, you know, one of the things that I do at our church is I arrive early on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. Rehearsal starts at 7:30, and I open that up to anybody that would like to come that's a member of the church. And I will give them vocal lessons, piano lessons, if they want to learn how to read music. Any genre having to do with music, I'm available for them. And I don't charge them anything. It's just free. That's just something that I like to sow back into.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So you're just available for people to come up, a young person, and say, hey, Chris, give me advice, and you're right there?
Absolutely.
Or maybe you just put the bass in their hands and say, go for it.
That's right.
That is great. Now, when you plan your year, here we are coming up, well, you know, we have a lot of the year left, but let's take planning for doing all the things that you do. How do you plan ahead to say you're going to spend so much time doing the bass or touring with Al or anyone else? How do you plan your schedule for all the various things that you're involved with?
Well, you know, that's a good question. Actually, I try to balance tour dates with Al Jarreau, producing. I just basically look at the calendar and try to fit things in, you know, and of course my wife and my family is a priority for me also, so I try to fit them in as well. But it just seems to work itself out, you know.
And we're talking about Al Jarreau. And when I think about him, as I listen to his "We're in This Love Together," that song, man, that has such a groove to it. I went back after practicing with you the other night. Right. I said, well, I'm going to go revisit that Al Jarreau song. Man, what a groove that has.
And I'm going to tell you, one of my all-time Al Jarreau favorite songs is Morning. Check the bridge on that song. The changes, the melody, and the lyrical content is just unbelievable.
It's
Unbelievable.
So beautiful. That must be fun to do that.
Look, I have to pinch myself every night I'm on stage with them. Is this real?
I was pinching myself when I was playing over the weekend with you. I was
you're
like,
too kind.
oh my goodness, man, is this so great? Super awesome. Well, Chris, tell us also what's ahead now. If someone wants to follow you or to see a tour date, or maybe Al Jarreau's going to come to Houston one day, is that possible?
That is possible. Actually, they can log on to chriswalkermusic.com, or if you'd like to get in touch with me directly, you can email me at wdentertainment and the number 1 at AOL.com. And
one more time on that.
D as in David, entertainment, and the number 1 at AOL.com.
Very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Walker. I don't know if we have time, but just let's hear a little bit of the sparrow, his eyes on the sparrow. And once again, that is such a great biblical word for us, isn't it?
No, absolutely.
Isn't that great?
Is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Oh, his eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. Yes. I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Yes, I sing, hallelujah, because I'm happy. Yes, I am. Oh, I sing because I'm free. Oh, his eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I know he watches me. He watches me. You see, because his blood.
What a song, Chris. That is so awesome. And such a blessing to people. That is a great song. How did you feel when you sang that?
Oh, look here, I was somewhere totally different. Just God, just take control.
It's great how he does that. No doubt about it. Well, you are listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick and
Chris Walker.
my co-host today. Super awesome to be with you, Chris, and all the blessings to you as you travel, for safe travels, enjoyable travels. And it sounds like everywhere you go, another adventure unfolds and another opportunity unfolds for you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to coming back one
It
day.
is our pleasure, and you certainly will. Until next weekend, Successful Living with Bill Napick and Chris Walker. Today, we encourage you to go to Bill Napick Radio Shows. That's the YouTube channel where you can hear all the shows. We've had other great guests. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thanks for listening.